Hey, it's Jennifer from Quiltin', Stitchin' and Kitties. Do you need a quilt that's reasonably fast and reasonably easy but has wonderful impact? Well, I've got one for you today. It's based upon the Friendship Star, and it's a square quilt with 9 blocks across by 9 blocks down. The size of the quilt is based upon the square size that you choose. The one I'm demoing today is going to be a wall hanging for me, so I chose a finished square size of only 3 inches. But it doesn't matter, and you can use lots of fabrics or you can limit your fabrics. It is so versatile. So let me show you what Friendship Stars are, just in case you don't know what they are. And I want you to notice that these are facing in 2 different directions, and that's what we're going to be doing for this quilt. So one has the top one facing this direction, and the other has the top one facing this direction. So you have to be careful when you go to put it together which way your stars are going to face. But they're basically made exactly the same way. So you've got 5 fabrics that are called background, and then you've got 4 star points. So how do you cut this quilt? Let me give you the instructions for cutting here. So it's pretty basic. They're all squares, whatever size you choose. For the background, you cut 49 at the finished block size plus a half. That's for seam allowance. And you cut 16 at finished block size plus an inch, because those are going to be used for the half square triangles. Then for the stars, you cut 8 sets of 2 at finished block size plus an inch. And that's it. Then, of course, you can add borders, whatever you want to do. I did finally add a border, which I thought is going to come out really nice. So now let's talk about fabric. So I decided, I haven't used my batiks for a while. I'm going to go in and look at my batiks. So I went in hunting, and I wanted my background to have some interest, but I didn't want it to be totally boring. So I found this one, which has a nice design, but yet it's like not overwhelming. And it's a beautiful blue. So I thought, okay, that's number 1. Then I went into my, oops, I put that in the camera. Went into my stash and looked for greens and purples. And then I went for blues, and I found this fabric that I have always loved and always wanted to use. So that was fabric number 2. Then I decided, well, I need to pull something that will coordinate with this. And there's this peachy corally kind of color in there. So I went looking, and lo and behold, I had the fabric that was exactly right. I couldn't believe it. Maybe I bought it intentionally, I'm not sure. But there, let me turn this around here. So there's the 3 fabrics that I came up with to start. And then I thought, yeah, maybe I'll put another color in. And I found this one that was kind of orangey and peachy. And I made a few blocks from it and went, nah. So I pulled that one out, and I just ended up with 3 fabrics. So my stars are going to be the blues and the peachy coral. Being very excited about the quilt. I spent yesterday cutting it all out, laying it all out. I haven't sewed it together yet because I wanted to show it to you in sections. So let me get that up on the wall. Be right back. This portable design wall has batting on it, which really helps for loose blocks to stick. I normally just keep it hanging in another section, but it's just made up of foam boards taped together with duct tape on the back, and then the batting on the front, and then I just put clips. I could make it look prettier, and I could make sure everything stays tucked, but someday it's on my list. So here's the quilt. There's the 9 blocks across and 9 blocks down. So you've got 8 of the Friendship Stars. Now, what I finally decided to do after I laid it out a bunch of different ways is I really wanted the brightest star at the top. And so then I put these 2 here. I tried that other fabric in here, didn't like the way it looked, went back and thought, you know what? I just like the 2 different colors. They look great. These are all individual squares, and that's how I gave you the instructions, the 49 different squares. You can figure out how to cut this as one whole section. But you know, sometimes I feel like when you have a block that's just got all these different squares, just make it squares. I don't know, it kind of has a more cohesive feel to me. So what I'm going to do when I sew it together, I'm going to use the webbing method. If you've never seen that before, I may have a video, I'll have to look. But basically, I'm going to sew the the second column over on the first column, have this long strip, keep it all together, then sew the third column and keep on going. I think it'll be a pretty easy way to do it. Now, laying it out, can you make the friendship stars ahead of time? No, you can't unless you make sure that you've got the off piece from the other block in the right section. So I don't think it's any easier to sew it together that way. I think it's just easier to sew it by columns or sew it by rows. But you may find something else. You can also put something here in the center. If you're in a hurry, then maybe you just leave it plain. I like the way it is, but I am going to put a nice border on it, and I think I'm going to do something a little bit special with the border to really kick it up a notch. So if you have any questions, let me know. I will get this sewed together, and I will be back. Here it is, all finished. I decided to add some cornerstones of the red, and I put in a couple of little strips of red in the border just to give it a little bit more pop. I really enjoy doing that. It's a little tedious to make sure and get everything to match all around the quilt. So I wouldn't recommend it if you're in a hurry, but it's a nice way to see it. It ended up at 33 by 33, which is the size that I wanted because I just wanted it for a wall hanging. When I went to measure it, I discovered I couldn't find my tape measure, and I have 5 in the house. So if you have that problem, got any hints? Should I get an Apple AirTag and put it on the tape measures? They just disappear on me. So I will put links to videos for half square triangles and also for the webbing method. Any questions? Let me know. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and
I've been trying to get some video of Sherlock, but this is pretty much how she is these days, happily sleeping on her quilt in her chair. Well, hi there, sweetie. Are you awake? Sherlock? Well, hi. Good to see your face. Love you.